All right, we are live. This is episode number 52 of the Deconstruction Podcast, brought to you by Jobtable, the simplest way to grow and manage your construction business. As always, we're going to kick it off here with a quick review. This is coming from Jeff Dickens. This is a contractor out of Texas. So we have used Jobtable for several months now. It has changed our business in ways we could not foresee. Before, we were antiquated with mostly pen and paper. We tried a few other software systems, but were expensive and time consuming and frankly not worth the money. With Jobtable, we have found a simple solution that does exactly what we needed without a lot of filler that do nothing but get in the way. The technicians are happy, the office is happy, and customers are happy. It's the trifecta. You also get the best bang for your buck of any software I have used or even heard about. We are very happy with it and think it will be able to help us scale our commercial fire alarm business to reach our goals. Really good review.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Shout out, Jeff.
Yes, sir. All right, we have a very special guest today. Ian MacFayden is joining us. Ian is the owner of Hummingbird Hill Homes, a custom home builder. He's a Red Seal carpenter, and he's also one of the co-founders of Project Network, an online community that allows trades to showcase their work and connect with others in the industry. We'll get into that. We recently met Ian at the building show in Toronto last month, and it was obvious there was just a strong alignment, same mindset, similar focus on craftsmanship, community, and just pushing each other in the industry forward. So I was recently a guest on his podcast as well. We're going to be collaborating, doing some stuff. So Ian, super excited to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome, Ian.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Costa, great to chat with you again. We're gonna rehash what we talked about last week.
As
sure,
always.
right?
You know what's funny? Actually, I was gonna message you. I think yesterday I saw. I don't know. I couldn't see who was driving, but I saw one of your trucks near my house.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Where do you live?
Not to dox myself, but like in South Oakville.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that could have been anyone. We're based in sort of like Southeast Oakville kind of area. So. Yeah,
very cool.
Tons of trucks around there. I'll be honest, you guys at the show won me. Well, Johnny won me over with the espresso. Long, tiring days. And he's just like, boys, come over here. We got an espresso machine in our booth. So that was pretty.
That was the hit. That was the hit of the booth. That was Johnny's idea.
I sold on the spot.
So yeah, there's a few topics to get into here, but let's dive into it. You've been building homes for a while. Beautiful homes at that, I might add. I was on your website, just on your Instagram here, and check it out. Whoever's listening, Hummingbird Hill Homes, really good stuff. But we talked about this on your podcast a bit. When people are starting out in business, they often talk about scale and growth, and like that's the primary focus. But why do you think craftsmanship matters more than scale in custom home building specifically?
Why does craftsmanship matter more than scale? I guess it's the expectation for the end product. We try to deliver, we do deliver, and the expectation is to deliver sort of true luxury. I think there's an eye that not just the end user, but the architects and interior designers, who are ultimately our strongest sense of referrals, there is an expectation around quality that they have and an eye that they have that quite frankly most people don't, right? But when you sort of enter that world, these little things, I remember when I first got into it, and I've seen so many memes around this where like my wife will smack me because I'm sitting there in a restaurant and I'm just looking at the ceiling and I'm like, guys, are we swearing on this podcast or no?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck is this, right? Like this looks like absolute shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm like, no, it's garbage. Like, rip it out. It's got to be fucking redone, right?
Yeah.
And there needs to be that in this industry. There needs to be that. It's like a weird obsession around perfection. That it's like it's an unachievable level of perfection, but we have to try to seek that level.
Have you found that being a perfectionist like that has kind of slowed you down in the growth of your business at all?
Not us. So that's an interesting. I think that's a bigger question than it might have come across. I think that kind of gets to the crux of growth in this industry, and the reason that a lot of like our peers and people within the sort of luxury custom home business have a hard time scaling is around that control over the end product. A lot of people that got into it because they were so good at building, right? And then they could hire a couple people, but at the end of the day, it's still them and their personality and their skill set that drives the business. For us, and you introduced me at the beginning as the owner of Hummingbird Hill Homes. I don't want to take away from my co-founder and partner, Aaron Miller. We, in the very early days, set out to hire the top talent, right? So we looked out at the landscape and we said, for each position within the company, we need to have the best person in the industry for that. And it took years and it took a long time, but my greatest achievement is not building the houses. It's not a level of perfection. My greatest achievement is that I don't really need to do anything in the company anymore, because I've hired people at every position that are simply better at that position than I ever was, right?
Love it.
And I think that is kind of what allowed us to scale.
Ian, I should have asked this before, but take a minute or two to introduce yourself, your background, how long you've been in business. I skipped a question there.
No, that's okay. My name is Ian. How far back do you want me to go? Like,
Whatever.
No, we have your name. Let's start off with the company when you established.
Okay, I don't know how to do it. Name's Ian. I did a degree at the University of Western Ontario in kinesiology. It's kind of irrelevant, but it's probably relevant with the backstory. I went through that and I had no like real prospects. I didn't want, like, I spent 4 years eating pizza and drinking beer and working out, basically. And then I got out of that and I got a couple jobs. I did some sales stuff. I did a actual postgrad in accounting, and I got a job in an office. And after about 6 months doing that, I just said to myself, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Like, I fucking despise sitting in an office, which is hilarious because now I sit in an office. But in that environment, that sort of like in a big building, downtown Toronto, I couldn't do it, right? So I quit everything. I termed it my early life crisis. I was like 25 and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life. So I became a carpenter naturally, right? That's what you do. You quit everything and you're like, I was like, I'm going to move into the woods and I'm going to learn how to build a house. That was sort of my end goal at the time. So I did my Red Seal, learned under a great guy in the Queen West neighborhood. He did a lot of flipping, all that kind of stuff. When I eventually went out on my own, it was me and my wife bought a tiny ass little bungalow in the Corso Italia neighborhood in Toronto, which is like St. Clair and Dufferin, if you're familiar with it. Ripped the roof off, underpinned, added 2 stories to it, all while living in it. So like we're living in this house with no roof on it for a little bit. My wife's got some stories on that one. And from there, just kind of like met a couple people. People started asking, can you quote some jobs for us? Like, we see what you're doing. Do you want to do so? So it kind of just sort of naturally rolled into a business. My intention, honestly, at that point was just to like start like an investment, like just owning homes, right? Like just a real estate investment business. And it ended up turning into a custom home business because I was doing this work and I started getting referrals and I was doing more work. And then I actually met my now partner, Aaron Miller, who had the like early phases of Hummingbird Hill Homes. And he was that sort of classic, like he was doing 1 or 2 builds at a time and he couldn't really scale. And it's when we met, we sort of found that our 2 sort of skill sets complemented to each other in this sort of perfect way where it allowed us to really have this sort of like explosive growth that we experienced about 5 years ago. And then we progressively got bigger and bigger and expanded to the point where we now work across the GTA. About 4 or 5 years ago, we did our first project up in Muskoka. 2 years ago, I think, Aaron moved full time up to Muskoka. So now we have a fully functioning, like we do, 5 projects at a time in Muskoka as well. So we do about 40 million a year in business now. We've got about 60 employees, 50 to 60, kind of depending on the season, right? In-house carpentry, site supervisors, project managers, admin, all that kind of stuff. So
Beautiful.
Amazing. How long has Hummingbird Hill Homes been active now?
9 years since me and Aaron partnered up.
Amazing.
He had it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or something like that before that. But yeah, about 9 years.
It's amazing.
And then, yeah, the reason I met you guys was at the Toronto Building Show for our new company, Project Network, which, I mean, Costa, you gave a great little pitch at the beginning, which I didn't send to you. So, like, thank you. I don't know.
He's very resourceful.
Yeah, I know. That's fantastic. But yeah, that initiative was really born out of like the frustrations that I've had in the trades with hiring people. I like to say, like, I built Project Network for me and every phase of me in the trades. Like, I built it for the me that started out in the trades and had no connections and had an asshole mentor, and like I had no other opportunities or options because I didn't know what the hell to do. And I built it for me when I first went out on my own and I couldn't find good talent. And I built it for me today when we're like trying to assess 1,000 applicants on Indeed and they're all shit. And like, how the hell do you assess all those people when you have, like, there's just no way to know with a resume. So it kind of clicked with me one day that like resumes in the trades are fucking stupid. We shouldn't use them. We shouldn't rely on them. Show some pictures.
We need some better, yeah. And actually getting back to like the initial question as well, but it's funny because it seems like you built your initial carpentry and, you know, home building it kind of just landed on you because you were building your own home, and then, you know, people were asking you, and then you did one to another, and then the same now with Project Network, right? And I find, you know, that's a similar story with Jobtable too, and it just seems like those businesses that come naturally like that are the most genuine, right?
Yes.
Because there's a passion behind it. It's not just money driven, right? And that's you know, that's what I'm taking from this story. And actually getting back to, like I said, the initial question, what I wanted to ask you was, because you're such a perfectionist in what you guys do on the custom home building side of the business, did you notice, because I know Charlie did ask if it hindered you from growing, mine's kind of the opposite. Did you notice that because of, you know, your attention to detail and wanting it to be perfect, that's how you're getting your next job, and that's why those jobs keep falling on your lap, because people know that when they call Ian or they call, you know, Hummingbird Custom Homes, that they're going to get a certain level of quality.
Yeah. So yeah, 100%. Like it definitely, I think both things are true at the same time, right? Like it definitely limits growth without proper systems and processes in place. But especially at the level that we're at, it's the only reason that you'll get here. And just for clarity, so for people that aren't familiar with the sort of custom home industry, there's kind of you've got sort of like, you got your production homes, right? You got, Johnny, you do commercial, right?
We do commercial and industrial, but I've done, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. I know where you're going.
You've got your production homes, and then you've got your like semi-custom kind of stuff. Then you've got your like kind of custom, but it's like, we call them the guy in the pickup truck, right? Might be an owner operator. They don't have any real systems. Some of those guys can do like really nice shit, but they're doing like one or two at a time, right? A lot of them, they're doing renos, they're doing basements, stuff like that. And then you get into this, like, I sort of term it the champagne tastes with a beer budget custom, which is kind of hilarious to say because I can't afford the houses that these people operate in. But it's that, like, so if there's any US listeners, forgive me, this is going to be in Canadian dollars, but it's the like, I won't use budgets. Like, let's go on like a square foot. So a new build, $400 a foot up to like 700 is champagne taste on a beer budget. Like, that is not enough money to build a true luxury custom home.
Yeah.
But the people in that bracket believe that they're building a custom home, but I don't know. It's this, like, it's funny to say because you're building, like, you might be building a $5 million home, but it's like you can't afford the home that you want. Like, if you, all the detailing that you want, all the detailing you're asking about, that's $1,000 a foot.
Yeah.
It's $1,200 a foot. It's $1,500 a foot, right? So like,
so you're now moving from, let's just say hypothetically, sorry to cut you off there, Ian, but you're now moving from your wish list to say, okay, you know, you wanted this to be real Calcutta, you know, marble, and it's like, look, we can give the same look, but we're going to have to go to porcelain, right? Something like that, right?
Exactly. And and it's not just the materials, it's like the level and quality of trade. I shouldn't say quality, the like craftsmanship of the trade, right? Like
Of the trade, yeah.
all of our trades need to have the same obsession with perfection. So for us, and I think this was kind of key to like being able to move up that sort of obsession with perfection, is you almost need to operate outside of that band, right? That and the numbers have changed. So like it wasn't 400. Like when we first started, $800 was a fucking high end luxury build.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And now 800 is like your starting spot. But we had to operate above what the expectation was in that realm, and operate at not necessarily a loss, but at a loss, right? Like we had to put out a better product than what we were getting paid to put out in order to prove that we could put out that product, right? Because until you, like all the top architects, all the top designers, you get in front of them and we love what you guys are doing, we love what you're talking about, but like, show us something. What have you done? Right. And until you've done something for them, which is it's one of those hilarious things. Like, how are we going to do anything for you if you don't give us some work? But like, until you can show them that you can execute what their expectation is, man, it takes a big leap of faith to trust that person. Right. And I get it, because there's a lot of, I don't want to come across insulting here. Just like the like sort of level of luxury that we now operate at, there's a lot of builders in the level that we used to be at that will try and sort of like hit above their weight class that can't, right? And it's like there's like a level from the architect, there's that level of trust that they need to have, that they're not going to give it to somebody that isn't going to be able to execute, because that looks bad on them, right? Because the homeowners are relying on the architect to put forward 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 options, for builders, like to interview, like, and then the homeowner will pick amongst a couple, but their expectation is that they're getting 3 comparable levels of builder. And if they pick somebody that the architects put forward and they end up with like a shit experience or a shit product,
It's bad on the
architect.
Yeah. So I'd love to touch on something quickly, because I think it ties into this really well, especially coming from you, a company that obviously prides themselves in delivering a quality product. How much does the type of customer play a part in this? Where, you said the price has gone from, 400 to 800 is now the base, right? Because I hear the story all the time where we talk to trades constantly with Jobtable, and one of the biggest complaints I hear is that, nobody wants to spend money. This guy, I'm getting nickel and dimed. So can you speak on how much that's factored into your construction company? We're finding the right clients, and then obviously the repeat, like, the word of mouth and whatever advertising you guys do to get the right people that are not going to nickel and dime you, that understand why they're paying $1,500 a foot, right? It's not a concern for them.
It's everything. Like, it's critical. There are more than ever nowadays, we have people that just aren't our client, right? And it is, we try to, and it's not even a personality thing, right? It is that understanding that like the service that we offer and the service that companies at sort of our band offer is like a true white glove experience. So the clients that our sort of like ideal client is worth a lot of money. They might have, family managers, they might have like money managers, all that kind of stuff, like a freaking personal CFO we deal with every now and then. And their expectation is that everything is taken care of them, right? They want like this incredible level of luxury, and they need 100% service, right?
And they're willing to pay for it.
They're willing to pay for it. Like they're going to when they're traveling, they're staying at the Ritz-Carlton and above, right?
And let me ask you this, like being the builder, and I know you do a lot of things in-house, but I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that you have your go-to trades, like guys that their level of quality, and it doesn't, and for you, it doesn't come down to their price, right?
Yes.
It's just, I know what you're going to do. I know roughly how you charge. Sure, I can, get 10 guys that are cheaper than you, but it's that level of quality that you get, because we speak about this a lot on the show. That a lot of guys think that it does come down to money, and even in the commercial game, right? We do a lot of that. That's exactly how it is in our business in the commercial world. Is the architects and the consultants, they'll put out the project, they're getting 3, 4, 5 bids, or the GC is getting it on design build, let's just say. And to him, it's like, these are the trades I'm using because I know, number one, their quality of work is there. Number two, they're going to meet the deadlines. Number three, I have control over them. And in the sense of I have control of them because I pay them on time, because I'm fair with them. They don't gouge me. If I need something, they'll go above and beyond. So that's who I'm working with, right? And I'm not going to cut these people out, because if I cut these people out, me as the general who has to overlook the project and actually face the client myself, I'm not going to put my company and my name at jeopardy because you have let's just say a drywaller that's $10,000 cheaper than mine. You know what I mean? Because that doesn't matter, right? And I want the listeners to really hear this, because Costa, I can't remember where it was, but somebody left a comment basically that price, it's all about the cheapest price, and it's like, no, that's just the market you're operating in, right? And I have a very big saying that, like, I live by, I follow it on my plumbing company, I follow it with our software company. It's don't chase the money, chase the relationships. The money will follow, right? If you are money hungry, if everything comes down to that dollar and cent, and don't get me wrong, to run a business, it obviously does come down to making a profit. But if you were going to make, just hypothetically, if you were going to make $100,000 on this project that takes, a year and a half, but you ended up walking away with 70,000, I understand that's 30% less. But at the same time, you got a happy client, you got somebody that will refer you to absolutely everybody they know, and especially if you're operating in the world that you're operating in, or at the level that you're operating in, that one referral can, double, what you made on that house very easily, right? So sometimes it's not about the money, it's about that finished product, it's about the respect, it's about, like you said, putting a project manager there. When they ask you to jump, unfortunately it is, how high, right? And it is giving that white glove service. And I want people to hear it, because a lot of times people hear us speaking on this, on our platform, and we've had a few other contractors on here say that kind of the same thing, where if you're looking for the cheapest price, you've come to the wrong place. And truly, that's why me and Charlie don't do custom homes, right? We get asked all the time, and we only do them for the select few people. And the reason for it is because if you're looking for a price and you think I'm going to beat some guy's price, that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get a level of service, right? You're going to get a project manager. You're going to get a foreman. You're going to get, people that are dedicated to the job, that when you need an answer, you're not chasing somebody, right? You're relaying the message. Those things are being taken care of behind the scenes, where you don't have to worry about. And then, before you know it, here's your answer. Here's your options. You got, option 1, option 2, option 3, right? Because then it makes your life easier when you present to the client. And now, instead of just giving them, an answer on something, you're not only giving them an answer, you're giving them options, right? Where it's like, wow, these people went to go do their homework for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I like, cheapest price, man, it's a race to the bottom, right? And like, we probably shouldn't get, maybe, I don't know if you guys want to get into this at a later point here, but I think there's a level of, like, you have to understand your margins too. Like, it's not just about the price, it's about the margins. And percentage margin is great to know as a KPI in terms of your overall business health, but it's about the dollars and cents, right? Like, you could have 40%, but if it's 40% on the cheapest fucking price, it's still a low number, right? I'd rather take 20% on a way higher number, right? The way we operate now, and we've actually flipped this entire thing, because I don't care about the percentage. We actually look at a monthly fee. We're all fee based, so it's a different business model, because of the sort of cost plus nature of custom homes and the specific industry that we operate in. But this sort of service we provide it. A lot of people will go based on just a percentage markup, and they kind of look at that. I say, I don't care about that. I care about what our monthly fee is, because we're getting paid for time, or we're getting paid for service, right? So that's kind of how we operate. That's a bit of an aside. In terms of the trade, I don't care about the price that the trade puts forward. it plays next to zero importance in us. For us, what we do, so one of the reasons that we get hired from the homeowners is to manage their budget, right? So we can't just like, it can't just cost whatever the hell it costs.
Yeah.
But we have 2 or 3 trades for everybody, and they're all at the same level. And we send everything out to bid on the 3 of them, 2 or 3, depending, sometimes more, depending on the trade. And we'll get a bunch of prices back. And every now and then somebody's out to lunch and we go, hey guy, you're a bit out to lunch on this. This is what the other 2 came in at. Like, do you want this one? Is it not good timing? Sometimes they're like, we're so busy, like whatever. Sometimes they go, hey, FYI, I saw this in the drawing, so that's why my price is that. And then we go, oh, okay. And then we go talk to the other 2, and maybe one of them is like, oh fuck, I missed that. Like, okay, yeah, that's my price, right? And we sort of make sure that everything's captured. But at the end of the day, we need the service, right? Like, we can't just have a bunch of fucking random crews show up that don't know what the hell they're doing and they're uncoordinated, and then our guys have to manage. Like, I don't know how to. Our guys can't manage plumbers, right? we're not plumbers. Like, we can make sure that coordination between the plumbing, the HVAC, the electrical happens. Make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. But beyond that, like, I don't know. That's not our job, you know. That's right.
It sounds truthfully, it sounds exactly like the world we operate in, right? In the commercial world, right? And I think the biggest thing is putting that kind of database, you know, when people are thinking on your end, like as a custom home builder to scale, is putting those pieces in place and getting those right trades behind you, because you're only as good as your trade, right? Let's be honest, right? You have a shit plumber, you can do everything well, but guess what? If everything's leaking everywhere, they don't care how good your tile guy was, right? Or how beautiful, you know, the pot lights look, right? It's like, man, like, this is brand new. Why is this leaking? You know?
Exactly.
So yeah, it sounds exactly how it is in like the commercial and industrial world, where, you know, we have the relationship with the GCs. The GCs have, you know, a certain amount of each trade that they go to. Obviously, there's favors, like favorable ones, right? The ones that you do want. And just like you said, and I'm glad that you picked that up as well, where it's like, you know, okay, you get 3 prices. Okay, the other 2 guys are around here. And then it's like, call this guy and say, hey, man, you're out to lunch or whatever. And it's like, no. Did they follow the spec here, right? Is there an alternate here? Or did they see this? And it's like, oh, man, I got to go back to them. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, right? To me, a lot of times, and I know I'm just a sub-trade to these GCs, but a lot of times that alone, when you're the one who picked that up, that alone should be kind of like an indicating factor where it's like, you know what, this guy seems more like he's dove into these drawings a lot more. So it seems like he's a lot more, you know, let's just say maybe on this one, attention to detail, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think I love that point there, is that that you are only as good as your sub. And going back to Charlie, your question around like the level of perfection and being sort of hyper focused on it. One of the things, and this is definitely a limiting factor with a lot of custom home builders, is this sort of like level of ego where they think that they are the reason that the house is so good. Whereas our approach has always been like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? But I have assembled. I do know what I'm doing, but like I got to take that angle of, I don't know what I'm doing. I need everybody that's doing the job to be the goddamn best in the industry. So what a client is getting in us is not, our site supers and project managers they don't know every single thing in order to build the perfect $15 million house, right? But what they have is they have relationships with all the people that do know how to do it. And they have such good relationships that we can get everybody to coordinate and to work together. And like we lean, our plumbing's a great example. Like our plumbers that we utilize, like we lean on them as consultants almost, right? And that's baked in to the pricing on every project. Some projects are easy, there's no questions. Others are hard, man. There's a lot of, it's complicated, it's hard, but that's kind of all baked into like the general pricing model. For us, there's an expectation of like, hey, Johnny, like the clients came in and they made a change. I really need you to send a truck here. We got to get this moved tomorrow, because if not, it's holding up electrical or drywall or like something. Like, we got to close this up. We need this done right now. and there's an expectation, and not tomorrow, but like how quickly can you get here?
Yeah,
Right? It can't be a month from now. It's got to be like next couple of days, maybe next week at the latest, kind of thing. Right? And so like that level of service and sort of teamwork is sort of the expectation at this level. And building out that stable of trades, like that's a lot of trades,
No, it is.
right?
It is.
Three different subs for every trade.
It's a lot.
That's 100 companies right there.
Yeah, and you know, just you know, because I know it's been us just back and forth a lot, but just getting back to your initial point when we were talking about, you know, when you were scaling your business and you're hiring better, and it's no different when you're a GC hiring trades, right? I think that this all goes hand in hand, where it's like you have to hire who's better than you at the job. Right? That's the way to scale a business, right? You're always looking for somebody who's smarter than you, who's better than you, who has, you know, the know-how. That's the way to scale, whether it's your sub, like a GC to the sub trades, whether it's a GC hiring a project manager, whether it's a GC hiring a site super, whether, you know, it doesn't matter whether, you know, you're a software company looking for, you know, a software engineer, right? You're always looking for top talent. Right? And even if you have a know-how in that field, you're always trying to look for somebody that is better at it than you, right? That's truly one of like the key factors to scaling any business. And I don't care, you can look at anybody who has ever done it, whether it's in construction, in any industry, right? They always say the same thing, right? Top talent, look for somebody who knows it even better than you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As a business owner, in any business, but like it seems to be a sort of a pervasive problem in construction is people's ego get in the way. Like get your ego out of the way, man. Like your job as a business owner, anybody listening, your job as a business owner is to be the best fucking business owner. Not the other jobs, man, you don't have to be the best at it. You shouldn't be the best at it. Because if you are the best at one of the other jobs, you don't have very good staff.
The majority of our listeners are business owners, right? Construction company owners. And a big issue they have is that they don't know how to step away from the tools, right? They don't know how to grow. And the reason I asked you that question is because that's the kind of exactly the growing pains me and Johnny went through, where he was in the office very early on. And I was always taking care of the job sites and taking care of the jobs and making sure they got done. Problem was, I was micromanaging so much and I was such a perfectionist that I had to be on every job site to make sure that it got done well, there was no leaks, everything was perfect, and everybody just had rave reviews about iPlum, which they did. And it served us well to build the company and, you know, our company name and how reliable we could be. And essentially helped us build relationships with all the GCs that we still work with today. Problem being is that I had to be on every single job. So we were really handcuffed as to how many projects we could actually do, you know, maybe 2, 3 at a time. As where when I was actually able to find people to fill my shoes, right? Kind of like you did, you know, you find people that are as good or better than you. Then it allowed us to kind of like expand. And now, you know, we probably have 15 to 20, 25 projects on the go, right? On any given month. But again, it takes a level of, you know, confidence in stepping back. But it kind of leads me to my next question and your new business venture with this website, because I've always been responsible for the hiring and the firing. So I'm really fascinated with what you've done, because I've always thought to myself, especially you mentioned Indeed, right? I get, you know, dozens and dozens of names on my desk, and I'm looking at them and every fucking one of them looks exactly the same. Right. And I'm old school, man. I'm a construction guy. It's like I wish, and I thought to myself, like about a year ago, looking at these, I'm like, why can't these guys just put their fucking picture? I want to see a face, you know, like I'm gonna end up any of the ones I filter down to, you know, like I shortlist maybe like 10, 15 guys. I'm gonna end up meeting them face to face, but I get a good feeling, but just by seeing somebody's face right off the bat, right? So it kind of helped me, or pictures of their work. You know, what have they done? Let me see the picture of a boiler room or a custom home that you've done. Right. So can you kind of dive more into that? Like what do you guys allow people to post on this site? Right. Like what can an employer expect to see from, you know, potential candidates when they go onto your site? And how fast are you expecting this to grow? Like how soon can people start using this? And, you know,
I mean, how fast? Like as fast as people get on here. So like the more people, anybody listening, please make an account, projectnetwork.com.
We'll drop it below as well.
Absolutely.
Project spelled with a K. Because we're in construction and we don't know how to spell.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the domain name.
No, or the fact that project is like a super common. Okay, so in terms of what people can expect, so essentially the sort of the bread and butter of it is you go on, you make an account, and you sort of build out a professional portfolio. What you put on there, honestly, it's up to you. There's no like rules. We strongly suggest that you keep it professional. And to date, I think nobody has posted anything unprofessional on it. The idea is within your profile, and we've actually just released a profile strength score. So I was talking to you guys earlier about like we've sort of tweaked a couple things since the building show. The profile strength score basically tells you how complete your profile is in relation to a hiring manager or recruiter. So I looked at this through my lens as like when I'm recruiting, right? So Charlie, I'd actually be interested, like take a look and let me know what you think in terms of
Yeah, absolutely.
what the information is available. But I thought through what would I want to see from a candidate that would give me a high level of confidence in, not even that they're a good candidate, like that's sort of a bit of a separate thing, but what they're displaying, what would give me confidence in what they're displaying, right? So like, Indeed, you get a resume. I don't fucking know how truthful it is. I don't know anything about what's on there. Like there's a level of like it's meaningless, right? Like you might as well just put your name in a hat with a phone number and we just call everybody. The profile is you do a bit of a bio, so an about you section. You do your sort of stats, like filling out any sort of profile. The sort of novel piece is around building out a profile with collaborations. And this is, I think, where it starts to get a little bit interesting. So if you're an individual, and when businesses do the same thing, like you go on as a business and you build out a portfolio so that potential recruits can look at the type of business you are, the type of projects you do, right? Make sure there's a match, right? Because yes, as a business, we want a good candidate, but that candidate also wants to work for the right business. Otherwise, it's not going to work from both ends, right? We don't want to hire a solid candidate that then is like, oh, this isn't the business I thought it was, and quits within a month. So we want to make sure there's a good match there. The portfolio, basically you fill out, like you do a project. Big picture, the intent is to have people open essentially a project and then follow and build it out over, I don't know how long your guys' typical scopes are. For us, like building a custom home, it might be 2 years. Like shit, man, but the big ones were 3-4 years sometimes. Like if it's a really big, complicated build. And the idea is like add to it as you're building it out, right? Like treat it as your personal portfolio. And what you then do is you collaborate with people. So anybody that you worked on that project with, business, other people, if you're an apprentice, tag your mentor, they have to accept that collaboration, right? Which provides a verification that what they've put on there is real. And that was the key part for us.
I like that. It's like a witness program.
Exactly. It was like it's not just fucking stock photos or like I was driving past a house and I took some pictures and claimed I was sighting. Yeah. It's like no, there's obviously it's I think as close as we can get to a level of verification on projects as you're ever going to get, right?
It's
like
funny because when you were explaining, and I thought, when you first said people can post photos, that's the first thing I thought of. Somebody's going to just drive by a house and just take pictures of some, or walk into a boiler room and take some pictures and add them onto the portfolio. So the fact that there can be some kind of verification is a nice tool, especially for a guy like me that I can see like this guy's got, 30 verified photos from different people. That's huge.
Verified. And then the collaborations and the coolest part I think that you're going to find is if you're looking, you can click on the collaborator and you can see what the collaborator has done.
Yeah.
Right. So you can start to see like, oh, this person, this is a really high end company and they've used this person. Okay. Right. There's something there. Oh, they also worked with this other person. Oh, I know this person and look at this fucking cool work that they've done. And like, it starts sort of creating this sort of like network, right? Which is ultimately the biggest piece that we want to create here is just a true networking platform for the trades that, like there isn't anything right now that services the trades adequately, right? Like I know there's LinkedIn, but man, there's no trades on LinkedIn. Like,
well, that's actually, I was going to jump in and I don't know if I know we said it right before when we were off air, but that was pretty much the best explanation that I took away from when we met, and kind of anybody I've been talking to about, Project Network, it's like it's LinkedIn for construction, right? Where it's allowing you to connect with either, like you said, right, like an employee to an employer, right, or an employee to an employee, right, or an employer to an employer, because who knows, let's just say you have another, custom home builder, and he's looking for a great, drywall company, right? Well, they might go on there might be a match, and then he'll go on to the profile and he'll start saying, oh, he works for this company, oh, he does this, oh, here's pictures of his work. Shit, like I'm going to give him a call, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So with Hummingbird, we've already met a couple new subs on there that have come on, and they've made accounts, and we've been able to look and assess their work. I think a couple of them are getting a shot at
Bidding
at bidding on a couple scopes that we have. One of the things that's in development right now, actually, I guess two separate pieces, but they kind of go hand in hand. One of them is sort of like a embedded AI capability. So like an internal GPT that we're sort of customizing specifically for us and for the industry. And then kind of with that, we're building out a whole bunch of algorithms and training the AI to make sort of quality connections. So Johnny and Charlie, you guys are on there with, what's your company's name? Is it iPlum?
iPlum, yeah.
Okay, that's right. I know you guys as Jobtable, not
yeah.
So you have an account on there as iPlum, and you will get connected with suitable GCs, to people that you potentially want to do work with that you might have never met, you might have never heard of, right? But it's going to start suggesting these sorts of connections and allow you to bid through. We don't want to build out like a bidding system, right? That's a whole fucking separate beast, and that's not the lane that we're in. But we want to make it so that almost like a job board, but from a GC or a custom home builder to a sub. Right? To say like, hey, we've got this open scope. We're looking for suitable plumbers, electricians, drywallers, whatever. And just
so not
those connections.
So it's not just connecting. So it's not just connecting, let's just say a licensed plumber to a plumbing company, but also being able to connect, like you said, like a GC to sub trades, right? So I guess this algorithm is just going to find connections all over the place and kind of just hit you with these notifications like, hey, you might want to take a look at, Ian at Hummingbird Homes, right? And it's like, oh, I go there and it's like, accept collab or ask, to collab, and then I guess they have to accept it as well, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So on that, it wouldn't be the collaboration; it would be a connection.
A connection. Sorry.
But yeah. You would send a connection request. The way we've got it set up right now, you can't message people unless you're connected, right?
Perfect.
Which
Yeah.
LinkedIn does it that way as well, but it avoids, like, you can't get spammed.
And let's just put it out there, and I'll put it out there for you, Ian. Anybody listening, Project Network is not a social media platform. Okay, I know you wanted to say that, so let me put it out there for you, buddy. It's not a social media platform, right? So
yes, yeah. And Johnny, thank you for that. So for context for everyone listening, I was updating the guys on after the build show, and one of the things we took away from the build show is that the way that the site is laid out, people were going on and kind of just going, it's another social media site. Like, what do I need another social media site for? And that is the last thing that we are. Like, we are not. Johnny, thank you so much. I love that you tossed that in there. I do want to hammer on, that's a really good point, and I really want to be clear, like, we are not trying to compete with Instagram. We don't want to replicate Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, I don't know, all the social media sites, all the shit, all the stuff, right? Like,
all the teas.
It's about professional connections. Like, if we're really going to dial it down, it's about professional connections. And then within that, there's a couple different things. Like, you can find a job, you can find
recruitment.
You can find, you can
exactly.
Recruit, you can find sub-trades. There's forums, right? We're hoping the forums kind of, like, as there's more users, that they kind of take off in terms of sharing stories, that kind of stuff. Like, create a better Reddit. Forums are anonymous. Like, I know they exist, but man, you don't know who the fuck you're talking to on a Reddit forum or who's giving you advice. Instagram, there's no real way to like connect in that way. Like you
Yeah,
can
this
comment
sounds
on
like a
shit, but
real utility that
yes,
can actually like it's there for to serve a real purpose and value
exactly.
to the
Yeah.
community.
And I was gonna say, Costa, I know you want to, I know you have something queued up, but just, I wanted to say, Ian, the more we dive into this and the more that we dive into Project Network, it's something like the construction community is missing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It truly is. And I just, want to give like, kind of like a kudos to you for putting this together, and anybody listening, like definitely again, like check it out, because we need communities like this, right? We truly do. And there's only I want to say a certain handful of people that kind of put a community together like this and make construction and the community fun, right? And making collabing with people fun again, because now that you're in construction and you're in also, the software side. And one thing I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if you noticed it, but in construction, I feel like everybody's kind of like, elbows out, like, don't ask me any questions. I'm not giving you any, kind of secrets, right? So to speak. But I find in software, everybody's just open-hearted, just willing to collab. Everybody wants to see everybody kind of, grow, and let's grow together. How can we collab together, right? I find a very difference, like a very big difference in the two industries. And I feel like one of the common denominators is we don't have a platform where we can collab together. And people can kind of drop their guard and just say, listen, you're a plumber, you're an electrician. How can we help each other out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Johnny, thank you for that. That was well said. And I think that was kind of why that's why we ended up pulling the trigger on this. Like I sort of explained before, sort of why I wanted it. But yeah, it was looking out at the landscape, and it was just sort of this. And I've become more and more passionate about it. Like it started sort of as this, like, hey, this is a cool utilitarian tool that could be useful. And the more it's grown and the more conversations I've had, the more I realize that like this industry needs something like this. And like the trades in general need more advocacy and more support. And I've been pretty fortunate to be connected with a lot of sort of trade advocates since we've started this. And there's so many people out there doing the advocacy work, but like they're all siloed because they don't, and a lot of them, and this is a huge knock to like LinkedIn and the tradespeople that are on LinkedIn thinking that they're making a difference on LinkedIn. The trades community is not on LinkedIn. And this is like, I think you guys know this. I've known it forever. Like I've had a LinkedIn account since because I went to university, right? Like, and then I've had it since then. But I've never been on it. Like it's useless. You're not connecting with a Red Seal plumber on LinkedIn.
It's a white collar platform. Let's be
Exactly.
honest. Let's call it for what it is.
Yeah.
It's a white collar platform.
Exactly. Yeah. But you get the trades advocates that are like doing their work on LinkedIn, and I'm just like, guys, nobody's
no
listening
there.
to you. There's nobody there. You're like talking. It's a fucking echo chamber, right? So like, yeah, I do think we need something that celebrates being in the trades, that celebrates this as a career path, and that really creates that utility, right? Around like, if you care about your business and you care about your career, if I could get on Project Network, like let's just and get Jobtable while you're at it, because they're fucking.
I love
awesome
Thank you.
I really like the collaboration part of it, because as coming back to what Charlie was saying, that's kind of where my mind was going to, comparing it to Indeed and how easy it is to fudge stuff and make stuff up on a resume. Immediately I went to AI, right? Theoretically, you can very easily make stuff up through like images, right? But when you have that we're living in a world, we don't even know what's real, what's fake nowadays. And so I really like that collaboration piece, because I think there's a lot of value to realness now. I think
verification. It's very high, yeah.
Real human connections like that. This is going to be a really valuable thing to people when we're living in this world, like I said, where you don't even know what's what.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about AI images. Oh man, my mind went to somebody's going to like just take pictures of not their work. But yeah, you could.
I'm thinking I can
you could do the whole thing from your desktop.
Yeah.
Very good. There's so many things as you were saying that I wanted to kind of double click on. One of them being was I'm someone who's like kind of obsessed with like processes and systems, and it's very impressive to hear your achievements after only 9 years with the home building side. 9 years is truly not a long time in business at all. Like it literally goes like that. And in what you mentioned before, like you're now able to step back, you hire people with skills, better than yours in certain areas. And I feel like that is what a true entrepreneur strives for. Like that's what you want. You don't want to be a slave to your business forever, right? Because then you just created a 9 to 5 job for yourself. So talk about the processes and systems, or like any tips on what other entrepreneurs should be looking at if they want to achieve that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the simplest tip is like, no matter who you are, no matter where you are at, you need systems and processes, right? So like, I don't care who you are, I don't care how good you are at your craft. You need to start implementing systems. If you're like, if you're a one man or woman show, you probably don't need to like codify processes, but you need systems, right? Like you need platforms. You need Jobtable, right? Like you're not running your finances in Excel. If you are, stop doing it, right? You need some sort of enhanced capability that honestly is like software. The cost of it right now, like I know it cost you told me last time, it's what, $59 a month or something.
Yeah.
Like that's so fucking cheap, right? Like if you can't afford that, then you've got other structural issues in your company. A couple $100 a month on software, right? No matter who you are. As soon as you start getting, there's this concept in management theory that you can only effectively manage 4 to 6 people, depending on the role. And that is so incredibly true. And I think a lot of people probably haven't even heard of that, and they're not even aware of the potential limitations. But I have anecdotally seen it at a number of different steps as we've grown, right? As you add certain people, and it's why we've ended up at Hummingbird with a structure that, from the outside, it looks corporate until you're kind of within it and you realize everyone's just friendly and there's a lot of like interconnectedness. But from a reporting standpoint, like we've got like managers and directors, we've got our VPs, we've got our executives, and each person manages 4 to 6 people, right? The only difference being on the labor front, there's one manager that oversees like a whole bunch of carpenters. Like I think right now we got 15 or something. At our biggest, I think we're about 25 carpenters, which is a lot. And that, quite honestly, like you probably need like regional supervisors at that point, right? Like Johnny and Charlie, what's your guys' structure? You got like a couple managers?
So it's like, me and Charlie, obviously as the business owners, on our finance side, we got our office manager, we got an estimator, we got a project manager, and then we have our foremans, and then our foremans have their guys, right? And each foreman takes out after a certain project. Those foremans report to Charlie or to Anthony, our project manager. Sometimes when it's something that has to go direct to the client or the consultants, then it comes to me, and then I'm the one who have to go there, and then it kind of trickles down. So exactly like you said, you have to have a structure to the company. And just getting back, I just want to just quickly kind of pick out a point. Like even if you're one guy in a truck, right? And we get this a lot when we're talking to people about Jobtable. It's like, oh, but I'm just, it's just me and my son, or it's just myself and my wife in the office, and it's like, okay, where do you guys see yourself? It's like, yeah, I want to grow, but I don't think I need something like this now. It's like, so what do you want to do? You want to implement new structure when you're bursting at the seams. That's the worst time to do it. You know what I mean? And I always compare it to like insurance. Are you going to get car insurance after you get into a car accident, right? Yeah. Is it like, doesn't work like that, right? You need to put the insurance, which essentially is those processes and procedures, in place first, so that as you're beginning to scale and you hire that next person, well, how are you going to control their time? How are they going to send you their hours? How are you going to know what they can do in a day, or how are you going to send them the drawings, right? And it's like, oh yeah, now it makes sense, right? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of pinpoint that, because we get that all the time, and it's like, I don't care if you're one guy in a truck, right? I really don't. It's all on how organized you are. Whether you're one guy in a truck and you don't have any processes, so you're one guy in a truck that's just messy processes. You can be a business owner with 50 employees. If you don't have any process and procedures there, then you're a business owner with 50 employees, and you're just a mess as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's going all the way back to like Charlie's first question about sort of growth. You can grow without this stuff, but your fucking chin is out the entire time, man. Something goes wrong. If you don't have your contracts in order, if you don't have your PO system in order, your draw system, if you aren't on top of your receivables, how are you going to do all that without systems and processes? I don't know what you guys have in terms of what you carry in terms of warranty. Because we're like residential, we're required to have Tarion. That's a 7-year warranty coverage. We build a lot of houses in 7 years. Like you get a rolling 7-year thing. Like that's 50 houses.
Yeah.
Right? Like at least, if not more than 50 50 major projects. You think about and the complexity in them, right? Like that's 1 million up to 15 million.
Yeah.
Right?
And then they call you on the sixth year. They call you on the 6th year, and it's like, where do you have all these files, right?
Yeah.
Where do you have all that backup?
Exactly. Or God forbid you get in a freaking lawsuit and you're required to show, like, why did you do that?
And beyond that,
I don't know. The guy told me on site. It's like, can you prove that? Like,
yeah.
another thing too is the ultimate prize as a business owner is time, right?
Yes.
It's like we all want time for ourselves to for new business ventures, to spend more time with your family. So implementing a software and processes in your company allows you to eventually pass it on to others, right? When you're hiring people, somebody's going to walk into your office and see a pile of papers on 3 different desks and say, okay, good luck. Let me, make sure you make money and then walk away from it. No, it's to hand them off a company that's fully organized, has processes in place. Everybody knows what's going on, right? There's a system. It's much easier, and then it gives you that confidence to step aside, and let somebody else take over.
That is an incredible point, and like we'll go back to that it's one of the earlier comments I made around sort of like ego in businesses and thinking that like you're the only person that can do the job. Even if you like get your ego out of the way, but even if you can't, if you have the right systems and processes in place. All the good systems nowadays are fantastic just from your mobile phone. Man, if you have the right shit in place, you can still be micromanaging from the beaches of Costa Rica, right?
Yeah.
Like you can do so much from your phone lying on a beach, right? And like the amount of people and the amount of small business owners I've talked to that haven't taken a vacation in 5 years. And it's like, you don't have to be into Costa Rica, but man, like,
or you can be like Charlie, or you can be like Charlie, travel 5 times a year. You know what I mean? Every time he comes back, it's like I'm leaving in about 3.5 weeks.
Ian, these guys break my balls. I've probably been away like 12 times in the last 2 years. Okay.
That's incredible.
And honestly, look, I have a wife, I have 3 kids, and me and Johnny have been running this business for 15 years. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for I want to make my mark, but I'm here for a good time as well. And I want to spend that time with my family, my friends. Yes. I want to grow my businesses, but that doesn't mean I have to be on site 16 hours a day, stressing out, pulling my hair out. Right. And if I'm still doing that after 15 years, I'm doing something wrong.
Exactly.
Like I said, I feel like one of my biggest flaws, but was a necessary growing pain, was to be forced to step away, because I had the most trouble doing that. And Johnny too, right? It's because you have something and it's so important to you, and your name matters, right? Your reputation is everything, right? And I think this is one of the things that as business owners that, like you said, ego is such a key word, right? You think that you're the best person for the job, right? And one thing that I will say is nobody cares about your business more than you, right? Like nobody cares about Project Network more than you. Nobody cares about iPlum more than us, right? And that's always going to be the case. But if you let that get in the way of growing your business, right? And for me, I used to take a lot of pride in my work. And I take pride that I took the time to become a plumber. I did a 5-year apprenticeship, and I truly believe I was a good plumber, and I really cared about my craft, right? But looking at it now, I don't really care about plumbing anymore. It was more of like a stepping stone to become a businessman, right? It's not like, It's like, was I a good plumber? Yeah, but who cares? It's like, how is my business doing? How's Jobtable doing? Like, these are the things I care about, right? And I think like, and I can only achieve that mentality by putting my ego aside and thinking, no, I have to be on site because if I'm not here, things are gonna go wrong. There's gonna be fucking problems. And unless you can step away, there'll never be growth, period.
Yeah, I love it. Well said. Me and you are a lot of like, you get to a spot like guys, I think everybody here grinded at a point. Like I worked the 50, 60-hour weeks for years on end until we got to a spot. And just to round this out with Costa's specific question around systems and processes, you need to implement the systems and processes. And Johnny, to your point, you're not, if you're going to wait until something goes wrong to implement it, it's probably pretty fucking stupid. You need to implement them, and you need to be willing to take the leap to implement them before it's too late, right? Like it might feel like I'm a little bit early, but you gotta put in that extra time, that extra money, like whatever it happens to be. If you gotta hire somebody to help you, don't wait until you have an excess of cash to do it, because you're probably already going to be at a spot where you can't keep your head up. You're bursting, right? Like you need to invest at some point. Again, this is like a bigger quest. This is a bigger kind of thing. I mean, me and Costa talked about it when we were chatting around sort of like cash flow management, and there's a level of like savviness that you need to have in financial management. And I would say, as a business owner, anybody listening, get your shit in order from a financial standpoint and make sure you take at least some basic courses to understand that. Don't wing it. Like that is the worst thing to try and wing. Make sure you understand that stuff, but implement the systems and processes so that you can be like Charlie and travel 12 times.
Yeah, but even getting even like just to piggyback off what you both just said there too. You know, I get it, and I know you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about too. How many times you're talking to a tradesman, you know, a business owner, and it's like they're looking at, oh, you know, I want to invest, you know, I want to buy Bitcoin or you know, oh, I'm looking at Nvidia stock. And then, you know, those are the same guys sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but those are the guys sometimes that are, you know, we talk to, and they're still doing stuff on spreadsheets, you know, and it's like, look, man, your business is your biggest investment. You want to make money, you have something that you've built right in front of you, or you are building, and you don't want to spend, you know, that, like you said, $59 a month, $100 a month, $200 a month on software, even though you don't think you're at that level yet to put those systems and processes in place, or you don't want to take the time to go on, you know, again, Project Network to create a profile to ensure, okay, you might not be looking to hire at this moment, but maybe in 2 months, in 4 months, in 6 months, right? But you're worried about, oh, you know, how do I, you know, double my investment here? How do I do this? Well, first things first, man. You got into business to make money. This is your biggest investment. This is the one that's going to be able to give you the financial freedom to then invest after, right? So until you're talking to me about stock options and, you know, this, that, and the other thing, if this is your livelihood, you need to get that in order first, right? So that as you're scaling, you can have that extra money to now start, and that extra time, right? Because you've now made those hires, like you said, Ian, to take a step back to now be able to spend maybe 2 hours a day, you know, checking the S&P, like looking at the stock market, looking at what Bitcoin's doing, and try to make, you know, some type of like educated financial investment. But until then, I don't want to talk, like, don't call me and ask me about that when, you know, you're still, you know, using Google Sheets or you know, Excel to try to project manage, right? And getting back to what we were saying, like I say it all the time, you know, I was in July, I was in Europe with my family, and I'm sitting on the beach while my kids are playing on the beach, and I'm getting texts from the guys, you know, and it's like, hey, I'm done the roughing, or hey, we finished this section of the job. And as my kids are playing on the beach, you know, I just take out my phone, and the way Jobtable works, I'm just going to the specific line items, picking a percentage. You know, and we have holdback, right? In commercial, I don't know if you guys do as well, right? So to do all that calculation, normally, you know, if you do it the old traditional way, you got to sit at a computer, you know, you got to put the paperwork, how much did I bill? How much do I have left? You know, what's the progress of the job and everything like that. And like you said, to have that freedom as a business owner to be able to do that is everything, right? Like that's worth its weight in gold, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wonderfully said. And I think a different way to look at it too is as business owners, like what's your hourly wage? What's your hourly worth, right? $59 a month? Like, man, unless unless it's only saving you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which fuck, man. Like what you just described there, right? Like, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if I actually know what but when I think about it, like an hour for me, shit, I don't know, it's worth at least $250, like minimum.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
That's Costa's biggest thing. Costa's all about ROI. Costa's all about ROI. And I remember one of the first times when we launched Jobtable, and I can't remember how we were talking about it. It was just like, that's exactly how he put it to somebody. It's like, what's your time worth? So if I can save you even half an hour a week, which it's going to save you much more, right? Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like, even if you say, okay, on the low end, oh, I'm just one guy in a truck. Okay, what do you charge a client? You know, $90 an hour. Okay, $90 an hour. So if I save you even half an hour, you know, in a month, it's paying for itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love it.
I know we have to wrap. I actually have one more question before we wrap here, just because this is something you touched on before. And it's something we've been talking about recently on internally on some recent episodes as well. But the market, excuse me, the market you've tapped into, like that very niche, high-end market where you're dealing with people with, you know, personal CFOs and family managers and that. This is an area where I find a lot of people in construction don't really think about like who their ideal customer profile is, right? This is like a common thing in any other business, but for some reason in construction, people kind of overlook it. So I'm just curious to hear, like, how did you tap into that market? Was it organic? Was it deliberate? Or how did you do that?
A little bit of both. Deliberate. So it is a tough market to tap into. It is 100% relationship driven, specifically with the architects and interior designers. So within Ontario, there's a handful, maybe more than a handful, but there's like maybe 20 architects and interior designers that are consistently operating in this sort of like level. Every now and then you'll get like a younger person that's just entering and they'll move up, or you'll get somebody that might do 1 or 2 projects a year kind of thing. But the bigger firms, there's like maybe, I haven't counted, but if I just toss out a number, it's probably like 20 of them, right? And you need to get in with those people, and those people already have their builders. Like they've got their contacts that they've been working with for 20, 30, 40 years. So as a new entrant trying to get in, it could be everybody's goal, right? So yes, it was a goal. It was a deliberate, like, we want to try to do this. But it can't just be your goal. Like there's a little bit of timing, a little bit of luck, a little bit of just like perfectionism, right? You just gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep hammering. You gotta keep making sure that you're a perfectionist. Hats off, and I'm going to take no credit on the sales front because I don't do any sales. This is all my partner, Aaron Miller. But he was persistent and he stuck with it and he kept getting us in front of them. And we as soon as you get an opportunity, man, you got to fucking seize it, right? It's this whole thing like, I don't believe in luck, right? It's the intersection of preparedness and opportunity.
Yeah.
Make sure you have your systems and processes so that you're prepared.
Yeah, well said.
Make sure you can fucking execute. When the opportunity comes along, knock it out of the park.
Beautiful. Yeah. Ian, this was great. We always wrap it up here with one question, and I'm curious to hear this one from you. So if you can put a lesson or a message that you've learned in business or in construction on a billboard for every single contractor to see, what would it say?
It's going to be 2, and I'm going to do a shameless plug here, boys. Make an account on Project Network and fucking get Jobtable.
Buddy, I love it.
Those two things, man, and you have a better business.
I love it, bro.
There you go.
I love it.
Awesome. All right, Ian, man, pleasure as always. Thanks for taking the time here. This was amazing. I think anyone listening is going to get a ton of value, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. This was a pleasure.
All right. And if you've been listening this far, just make sure wherever you're listening, subscribe, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, so you don't miss a future episode. And boys, appreciate it. Until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, boys.